through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key, make the big switch. Power to the people, time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold him, he's moving on. With plans so bold, from dusk till dawn. He's rewriting the rules, a new dawn's day. From the hands of the few to the people's way. Say goodbye to all chains, embrace the new. A financial revolution, fair and true. For the workers, the dreamers, side by side. In Trump's new era, let freedom rise. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation.
Welcome, everyone, to the Crazy Kryptonaut channel. I am Zester, and thank you guys so much for joining me I guess the first exciting stream of 2026 when it comes to the crypto markets. We're actually looking at a green market for once, and we've got a bunch of news, a bunch of stuff to talk about. There's a lot going on, a lot of companies. We're obviously waiting for the beginning of 2026 to start revealing all of their plans. And so we've got a lot to dig into today. I'm very excited for it. But first things first, let's say some good morning, see how everybody's 2026 has started. Good morning, Mile High Trish. Good morning. Welcome to the first full week of 2026. Good morning to you, Mile High Trish. Thank you so much for being here. And yes, it's going to be an interesting first full week, especially after everything that went on in Venezuela and everything else going on around the world. Markets have started off with quite the bang for their first full week. SMT, good morning, SMT. SMT says XRP is at 218. Been a long time since it was that high. Heard Jim Willie say 5. Jim Willie, hey, I'm ready for $5 an XRP. I'd be even happier with $500 an XRP, but I'm willing to start at $5 per coin. And well, things are starting off in the right direction for that one. Matter of fact, we're going to be talking about it because one metric in XRP that I've referenced a lot, I've talked about in terms of kind of educating folks about the fact that there are constantly being releases of more XRP into the circulating supply, coming from escrow, coming from the company, that it's constantly inflating. And a very important metric that we've discussed in the past is where the amount of XRP being released is actually being consumed as soon as it's released, as in there is more demand than there is supply. We're going to talk about that one today because things are going in that direction. So we've got some exciting things for XRP already for the year. Good morning, Kukla. Happy first Monday of the year. Back at you, Kukla. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hey, good morning, Scott. Good morning, Malin. Please give Zester a thumbs up. Thank you, Malin. Thank you. It's definitely appreciated. All right. Yeah. Good morning, Reno Hightower. Hope everyone is well today. We are certainly ready for something positive. It's been a long road we have traveled. It definitely has been a very long road. Well, I guess, I don't know. It feels even longer than it really has been. Reno says, there's a girl on Twitter calling for the liberation of America in the United States, just like Venezuela. We deserve to be liberated as well. Oh, good Lord. Reno, there's some crazy folks out there. Kukla, give us the good news, Esther. Hey, that's the good thing about today, Kukla. We got a lot of good news to go over. Epicenter, good morning, Epicenter. Good morning, Tortuga. Good morning, Elena. Good morning, Gary7. Gary7, good morning. Number 7, clicking the like button. Thank you for that, Gary. And for Christmas, I got a broken drum. You can't beat it. There you go, Gary. There you go. Good morning, Crazy Chester. Yes, an important one before we get started on everything, guys, is please do remember the content in this podcast is for entertainment purposes, not intended to provide financial advice. Please consult with a financial professional before making investment decisions. All right. Thank you for making certain I get that one. Chris Emerson, Chester, is this crypto mining thing on Facebook any good? I'm not certain which one on Facebook you're referencing, Chris, but I would say with a lot of the miners and overall proof of work mining. And so this depends. You're talking about Bitcoin. It's a proof of work blockchain. You're going to need to run essentially computers that are designed just for mining. It takes up a lot of power, makes a lot of heat. It requires you to be knowledgeable about, hash rate and all kinds of things. It's a little bit of it's kind of a difficult one for those who aren't ready to jump in and really, really, really already know a lot about the hardware and the software necessary or are willing to commit that kind of time to it. Also, the price tags in order to be competitive can be very high. But there is something we're going to talk about probably in the next week or so. I've been planning this little segment for a month or so, but we are going to go through, and I have actually got, matter of fact, I have them sitting somewhere right around my desk, and we are going to be talking about these things in the coming weeks. And so what this is this actually is a one-shot miner. And what it's trying to do is it's not strong. It's not powerful. It's not going to succeed often. But what it tries to do is it tries to come in at the last second and solve a block and earn the entire Bitcoin reward for having solved the block. That's like over 3 Bitcoin. So $300,000 plus. We are going to be covering one of these. I'm going to be running one of these for the entire year of 2026. And we're going to go through the math on how likely it is that I would ever succeed. But this is something we're going to be talking about. I'm going to talk about brands and names like that. And it's going to be another part, a long shot part of our zero to retirement goal. And so we will be talking actually about one-shot miners. What I would say for folks out there, proof of stake networks. When you are staking on a proof of stake network, you are effectively mining without having to run hardware, without having to learn all that stuff. There's a lot of opportunities in proof of stake to participate on the mining side without having to achieve the degree of tech savviness that, say, running your own ASIC Bitcoin miners in the home might. That's what's great about these little like one-shotters. You pretty much just plug them in. But we'll be talking about that one soon. So everybody just got a little bit of a unintended sneak peek at a coming episode where we're talking about trying to win an entire Bitcoin reward block. Hey, I hope we win one. Kukla, Esther, what does your t-shirt say? Well, actually, this is an awesome t-shirt. Thank you, Kukla. This is the Freedom shirt I wore for the first episode of 2026. I wore the Charlie Kirk Be His Voice shirt, and now for the second one, the Freedom shirt. I have a feeling it's going to be an important year of us making certain that we don't quiet down. And so I feel that one, a prediction outside of crypto entirely, but just more of a the way the world's going type prediction. I got a feeling we're going to need to make certain that we are being vocal. Gary7, my friend, mistook his Axe body spray for a breath deodorant. Now he talks with an accent. All right. That's a pretty good dad joke on that one. Epicenter LLC, Canary XRP ETF bolted out the gate this morning. Yes, it did, Deborah. It went nuts. A lot of different cryptos are going nuts right now. Gary7, does Venezuela have any crypto that we should watch? Well, Gary7, there was an interesting project that came out of Venezuela where Venezuela was trying to create a cryptocurrency backed by its oil reserves. This was essentially shut down because of the sanctions and everything else. It was never possible for it to really get off the ground. Gary7, that is a very interesting idea, though, and I do believe that it has legs. Maybe not in the form that Venezuela was trying to go about it, but it very much has legs. And so that's something that I think is an interesting possibility out of all this, is maybe we see the revival of that idea, the idea of tokenizing oil reserves, which it's going to happen. It's really, where's it going to happen first? Who's going to be first? Venezuela would be a prime target for this, with the U.S. taking over the oil production in the country. That's something that could be very interesting. Otherwise, though, Gary, Venezuela is known for its crypto use, not for its crypto development. Venezuelans throughout the Maduro regime were utilizing cryptocurrency in order to maintain their wealth, because bolivars were constantly inflating. And so Venezuelans literally were one of the fastest growing adopters of cryptocurrency on account of that. That's a trend we've seen in every country where the government screws up. Those citizens of that nation, they flood to cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency alone. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning. All right. Rich Rubber, I like where XRP is going. Same. All right. Yes, Pete. I have been doing a little research. I've got an email to send you today on that one. I've been doing a little research on what's going on over there on that one. It is someone got your information, and that's why Coinbase is very confused. But I have a little bit of information to send you on that one, Pete. I've gotten some updates on that one, but I will send those to you in an email, Pete. Most definitely. So yes. Gary7, I hear that Trump is targeting Colombia and countries in that area. Do they have any crypto that we should watch? Well, there is a little bit of an interesting thing here. There's probably a large amount of cryptocurrency held inside or held by people in Colombia. Folks that have been trying to avoid sanctions, folks that have been trying to legitimize drug money accumulated through narco trafficking. But Colombia does not in particular have any specific crypto that it builds or it creates. But it is highly likely that Venezuela and Colombia have a fair amount of cryptocurrency held by members of the government or members of the business class. So there could be crypto to seize in terms of Colombia and Venezuela. Crypto that is very much legitimately could be claimed by the United States. Good morning, Franco. Good morning. All right. Yeah, Franco, we see oil for dinars. We see the same thing for the Bolivar. It's a very interesting possibility when it comes down to the tokenization, and it comes to a lot of the different things that we have learned over the years in terms of where the system is going, where we're going to actually be backed by the natural resources of the country, by tangible real world assets, or by just tangible, maybe I should say, assets. And it very much makes sense for nations like Venezuela, for nations like Iraq. Ultimately, these are some of the wealthiest nations from a natural resource standpoint. But when it comes down to it, the state of civilization on top of the ground doesn't naturally indicate that. The tokenization of assets will eventually allow for the tokenization and the creation of essentially derivative packages for the in-ground reserves of nations. And so there's a lot. There's a lot that could come together on that front. I think we're absolutely going to see tokenized oil prices, or it maybe not specifically tokenized oil, but we will see the different ways of interacting with it on the blockchain. Absolutely so. We have the possibility of currencies backed by oil or backed in part by oil. We've got the possibility of tokenized oil. We've got the possibility of tokenized in-ground oil. There's a lot there where the tech is really going to merge with the pre-existing energy sector. All right. Crazy Chester, what does it mean when I see alerts that USDC was burned at the Treasury? I have not seen that alert there. Crazy Chester was burned at the Treasury. Is that the same effect of burning crypto? Well, the really interesting thing about the creation or burning of stable coins in particular, it's supposed to work. Essentially, there's the money that's in the bank, and the money in the bank is represented by the amount of tokens in the circulating supply on the blockchain. So there's $100 billion in the bank. There's 100 billion tokens in circulation. Well, if there were to in any way be a reduction in the amount of dollars in the bank, well, in order to maintain the stable coin pegged to $1, the amount of stable coins in circulation needs to match. And so in that situation, it is effectively, they are burning supply, but they are burning supply because the asset backing up the supply has reduced. But I have not seen this alert, and so I'm not certain of USDC's burning of it. But it would be an indication that there were less dollars in the bank than there were yes, essentially the amount of dollars in the bank has reduced. And so you've got to burn some of the circulating supply so that those numbers match. If they don't match, well, then one USDC is not worth $1. It would be the same idea when we start tokenizing gold and silver. And so with the tokenization of gold and silver, what's going to essentially occur as the burn rate or inflationary rate of the circulating supply is Zester goes in and Zester says, I've got 25 silver ounces. I would like you to tokenize these 25 silver ounces and give me 25 tokens that are a representation of 25 silver ounces. In that case, I have just added to the circulating supply of that token backed by silver. Now, say I go back to that company and I say, hey, I would like to physically hold my 25 ounces of silver now. What has to occur? My 25 silver tokens have to be burnt in order for me to receive my physical silver back. Might be even easier to kind of look at it in that fashion. And that's where burning is very different when something is backed by a real world asset. The idea of burning for stable coins or for gold backed stable coins, things like that, is a reduction in the amount of money or capital that is being held inside of, the vault. In the sense of Bitcoin or XRP, it's an entirely different effect. We want to see burning on speculative cryptocurrencies, on utility tokens, is that's where we want to see burning. We want to see burning on XRP, because if you burn XRP, you permanently remove it from circulation. You are reducing the amount of XRP that will ever exist. That, from market study would say that the value of the XRP in this example, the XRP that's still in circulating supply, would go up. All right. Let's see. Crazy Chaz, I get them the X channel whale alert. I think it's a subset of unusual whales X channel. Yeah, whale alert is a great one. Whale alert is a great one. I'll have to go look on that one, Crazy Chester, and see what the reason was. I'm guessing that an investor or somebody said, hey, I'd like to take my capital out. I'd like to buy Bitcoin. I'd like to do something else with it. All right. Franco, Zester, my RLUSD is sitting on the exchange. If I move it to my cold wallet, I'd had to send it back to spend it. I think I'm missing something. All right. And so, Franco, in order to go back to an exchange, yes, you would have to send it back to an exchange in order to exchange over to say to XRP or whatever. But Franco, and this is something that's going to be coming more and more in the coming year, you also have to think about it from a perspective of, well, what changes when I'm going and I'm buying something with my RLUSD from Walmart? What you're going to do is you're going to send that transaction from your ledger. And so, Frank, at this point, yes, if you wanted to go exchange back, you can do that on Ledger Live. We've shown that before. You can swap inside of Ledger Live without having to come back to an exchange, but the fees are higher. And so what I tend to do, unless it's something that needs to happen quickly or I'm okay with losing $1 or $2, something like that, I will send my crypto back to Coinbase, make the swap, and then send it back to the cold wallet. But you in the coming world, Frank, you're not going to need to do that as much because your RLUSD, you're just going to be able to spend it. You're going to send it from your wallet to whoever it is you're buying something from. Right now, though, Frank, RLUSD, if it's anywhere, your RLUSD should be sitting on Gemini. Gemini is paying 4% APR for RLUSD just sitting on the exchange. And so right now, if I had RLUSD, it would be on Gemini, just because I want that passive return. But in the long run, Frank, I don't think that's going to end up being as much of a worry because you're going to be essentially sitting there and going, hey, I'm sending crypto. I'm buying actual things with the crypto. I'm not swapping to another cryptocurrency. All right. Robbie Bugs, that's here's to say when RV happens, Iraq pays citizens one rate and foreign holders another. On that one, Robbie, I would definitely defer to Pops because I know that there have been a lot of claims out there that there would be different street rates, but that one's definitely one where I will definitely bow to Pops in terms of the amount of knowledge and information he has on that front. But to my knowledge, I was under the interpretation that there could be potentially different rates. In the same way that there are different rates for gold and silver in different countries, and there are same rates for all kinds of different things in different countries. ZooTube, your opinion of H-bar. I find it difficult to deal with. And the Ledger Cold Wallet is severely messed up since December 2022. Or December 22. Is it worth holding, or do you have some great breakout? ZooTube. On H-bar, on XLM, on XRP, I guess not as much XRP, but on a lot of the ISOs, the XDC, etc. ZooTube, I strongly believe that 2026 is going to be the year of these companies either start to succeed or they will fail. And so I would consider Hedera Hashgraph to be sitting in that scary category. XLM is in that scary category. XDC is in that scary category. Essentially, every cryptocurrency that has been a part of the ISO grouping, I believe that 2026 is the final opportunity. They have got to start becoming profitable businesses. It's 2026. This was a big one in terms of my predictions. I strongly believe 2026 is going to be a large part of the year where we start to see the biggest reveal up to this point of essentially the fact that these cryptocurrencies are businesses. And we're going to start judging them more and more in this year as companies. And so in that regard, ZooTube, that's where I see XLM and Hedera and these projects. This is the year. They have got to start providing services now. XRP, I would say, has always been in that same category, but XRP has already done it. XRP spent 2025 providing services, starting to bring in capital, releasing RLUSD, tokenizing US government treasuries. They are on that path. They're providing value. Their blockchain is usable. That is what I think is going to be there. And so my opinion of HBAR right now, ZooTube, I hold some HBAR and I hold some XLM. I have not sold. either of my positions in those two cryptocurrencies. But 2026 is the year. If by a certain point in 2026 we do not see a lot of action coming out of these projects, I will be liquidating my positions this year. And I won't look back. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But effectively, I am under the belief and strongly, strongly believe that this is the year of projects becoming businesses, profitable businesses, providing services. Effectively, right now, XLM provides nothing. Hedera provides nothing. And so that stuff's got to happen. And in my opinion, Hedera has a huge possibility, has tons of ability to be used in the new system. It has a use case. It's useful, but it's competitive now. And so now rubber is meeting the road. And so that's where I'm sitting on those. I have not closed any position that I have in terms of ISO tokens, but I have not added to those positions in well over a year. Well over a year. And I have no intention of adding to those positions until they start to provide services and goods. And so that's where I'm at on that one. I know I'm a little critical of them, but it's essentially that time. Essentially, there is no more time to be like, oh, well, they're trying to create new technology. You know, it's tough, it's difficult. There's financing, there's all these things. We're getting the regulations, we're getting the rules. You've got your rules, you've got your regulations. You know what you can and can't do. And so, with the passing of the Clarity Act, it really will be. It really will be. The race will be on, and there will be no more time for slackers. Crazy Chester, I like HBAR. Militiaman said that Iraq will use HBAR for their transactions. HBAR has a lot of use case. What HBAR has spent all this time doing is trying to create an extremely robust blockchain. And so right now, it's very difficult to use. And that very much comes into what you said here, Zoo2, about HBAR, the Ledger Cold hardware wallet. When it comes to storing HBAR, I have a whole video that I had to make for this because it's so difficult. HBAR is not intuitive. That's another thing that is going to be a part of the year. These cryptocurrencies have got to become usable by an average person, or they have got to cater specifically towards a certain clientele that have enough volume, enough business, etc., to make the whole thing work. Otherwise, they need to start becoming far more usable. And right now, HBAR is not usable. If you buy Hedera, you're pretty much better off keeping it on the exchange you bought it on. That or follow the video. And it's not an easy one to set up. I think the only harder one is XDC. I think when it comes down to it, it's essentially XDC is the hardest of these cryptos to add. And Hedera is second place on being the hardest to work with. It is. Gary7, what is Iraq doing with crypto right now? Well, there's been a lot of talks about the about digital dinar. And so that very much is an indication towards the blockchain and cryptocurrency. And so Gary, I do expect that one. Tommy, what are you doing? Stop doing that. Tommy is trying to destroy the blinds over off to the side of me. I don't know what he's I don't know what he got into this morning. There you go, buddy. That's much better. Sit right there. Franco's, that's right. I talked to a lot of people. Probably about 1 out of 10 have any knowledge about crypto or the government getting involved. Exactly, Frank. We really are. I know it seems like we're not at the beginning. We're not on the cusp of this, but we really are at the beginning of the new system. Everyone else is going to be playing catch up. They're going to be so confused, so behind, because it's gonna happen. It's not a choice anymore. The ball is already rolling. This thing is an avalanche. It's going to wreck the financial world. It's going to change how the financial world works. It's going to change the value of currency. It's going to change the value of everything. And in that regard, completely agree with you. 1 out of 10 is generous because 1 out of 10 just know what it even is. Like the other 90% don't even know what it is. Amongst that 10%, how many genuinely understand what it means for the future of the world, what it means for their futures? I would say that that percentage is probably 110 out of that 110. We're probably looking at maybe a percentage, 1% of Americans, maybe. And I think that is being generous. And so it's going to be it's going to be one heck of a surprise when folks, when folks start to wake up and learn that, when folks start to learn that they really did have an opportunity to be knowledgeable about this. This is going to be another one of those situations where folks are going to look back in 20 years and they're going to go, oh, well, if only I had, or my buddy, yada, yada, yada. He taught me about it, but, I never participated, other things to do. It'll be one of those. It will be. Tommy does want to play. Tommy is in the mood this morning. I don't know. Earlier before the stream, he was just being lazy, Tommy. I guess as soon as the stream started. Reno Hightower, is there an XRP bank I am hearing? Thank you, Reno. XRP has already received some preliminary checks or approvals for its banking, and so yes, in that regard, Reno, it's not an XRP bank. It's that essentially they're working together. And so yes, and this is another thing that we've talked about some, and I think it's going to be an important one. The idea of a bank and an exchange, banking and crypto. We're going to start 2026, big year of these things coming together. Yeah. Why is there so much? Reno says, why is there so much feet dragging? It's a massive change. There's a lot of folks who aren't essentially ready for it. And there's a lot of folks that have a deeply seated interest in the current financial system. And so especially the big dogs, I do think that they have been trying to slow this thing down since the beginning. And now that they've realized that they can't stop it, all they're trying to do now is delay long enough for them to be in the best position they can be. Crazy Chester, I try to tell people about using my Gemini card to earn XRP, and they look at me as if I have two heads. Crazy Chester, absolutely. Many folks do not understand and do not get it. And actually, let's go ahead and get our screen up here because there have been too many questions and too many things that I've got articles to talk about those on. And so in regards to that one, as a matter of fact, yep. One of these. Yes. Crypto news today. Visa crypto card spending jumps 525% in 2025 as usage accelerates, going from 14.6 million in January to 91.3 million by the end of December. And so, Crazy Chester, these programs are skyrocketing. They are massively increasing in volume. You're going to start seeing a lot more offers coming from different companies offering different types of rewards in cryptocurrency. But this is going to be another one of those things, Crazy Chester. Yes, folks are going to start hearing about this year. Folks are going to hopefully start opening their minds to what it means because with the market shifting and everything else, folks are going to start realizing there is a huge opportunity here, and we're going to see the death of airline miles and the rest. I would highly expect because yes, on our zero to retirement challenge, we are now at $1,247.53 with $151 staked in the form of Monad. We actually have also received, our first payment from Monad. And so the rewards for the staking period of the Monad, the $150 of Monad was $1.70 for the month of December. And so this is, though, I know Crazy Chester, it is one that a lot of folks don't understand right now. But it seems as if 2026 is going to be the year of folks realizing the power here. And when they do, I think it's going to become a lot easier to talk to people about using the card and etc. But right now, Crazy Chester, the biggest way to show people is that the proof is in the pudding. The proof is very much in the pudding. It is very, very real. It is working. It is working. We're at over $1,000 in the total account, and that's in the trading account. And then we're at the staked monad at $151 of staked monad, bringing us up to our total of $1,247. And so, yes, Crazy Chester, I've had that from some folks. The biggest way that I've been able to convince people that I've talked to in person that they really need to look at it is to go specifically towards this, to be like, no, just look, it's working. It's working. And that so far has been the best way, because a lot of folks just don't get it. And nobody understands compounding. Or, well, I shouldn't say that. It's not nobody. It's 99.9% of all human beings don't understand the idea of compounding. They don't understand the power of receiving a reward that is based in a dollar denomination, but receiving that reward in the form of a potentially appreciating asset. Your airline miles do not appreciate. They are not going to become more valuable someday. Yes, though, Crazy. This is going to be the year, I believe, where we're going to see a lot more folks waking up. And the best way right now, in my opinion, is to directly show them. Absolutely. Yeah. Crazy Chester, Mile High Trish says, I usually just show someone the text I get, which shows the crypto I receive. That usually provokes more questions. Yeah. Anybody sitting there and saying, wait a second, I get $50 for free just for signing up through this link. I don't even need to do anything. Hey, people like free money. Yes. Robbie Buck, when the other 9 out of 10 do understand, that's when our crypto investments go sky high. Buying now is such an advantage. I completely agree on that one, Robbie, because that is. When they come pouring in, they're going to come pouring in late to the party and like madmen. That's when they're going to wake up. They're going to wake up in the same way that they typically wake up. Whenever Bitcoin hits a new all-time high, a bunch of new people come in and they buy Bitcoin for the first time. And they lose money because they bought at a new all-time high. But if they hold, it will end up breaking that all-time high, and they end up back in the green. But typically, that's when we see that huge rush of new Bitcoin holders. It's when we see the new all-time highs. And so 2026, we're going to take quite a chunk out of that 90%, I believe. I don't know how much of a chunk we're going to take out of it, but I would feel fairly confident that by the end of 2026, that number goes from a 9 to 1 to an 8 to 2. And that would be my conservative belief on that one. And that essentially would mean a doubling of the amount of crypto holders in the United States. That would be doubling it. And so that is just the small move from 10% to 20%. I very much think it is possible for us to have crossed that threshold in the year. And that's conservative. If things go as nuts as they are currently setting up to, we could see far higher numbers. Crypto Warden, do you think it's moving slow to get real world use because banks are still resistant to crypto? Crypto Warden, yes, I do believe it's a factor. Another major factor, though, in this one, in my opinion, Crypto Warden, is that the people that are running these things do not understand it. They don't understand the technology. They are now aware that they have to do this, that it is the future. And so while they spent the past 10 years, many of them spent the past 10 years talking about how silly it was, ridiculing it, and the like, what they should have been doing was shutting up and learning about it. And so I think that that is a part of it, Crypto Warden, because I know that in terms of job applications and job openings, that these companies and the banks have skyrocketed in job offerings for anyone who understands this technology. And so in that regard, I think that these financial institutions, while they have all the capital in the world, they very, very ignorantly chose not to be acquiring all of the knowledge that would be necessary when this moment occurred. And so I think that's where it is. I think Crypto Warden, the problem is that many of these banks are having to create their plans. They're having to create this understanding now, when in all honesty, other companies at this point are already launching what they'd obviously already been planning. They've already gone through the development phase. All right. Yep, Gary 7. Anymore, I'm tired of explaining crypto to everyone. I just discussed it with people that already know about it. It's much less stressful. It absolutely is, Gary. It absolutely is. But there's a lot of folks that are, there's a lot of folks. I have a, it's my thing I can do. I'm going to go out and try to get as many people knowledge about it as possible. But it's difficult. People do not like change. For a society and a culture that is always, or is always said, essentially, that we've adapted, we've evolved. We as humans are very resistant to change. And so there are just some folks that just don't want to learn. Just don't want to. And that's never going to change. I don't think we're ever going to have a society where we have a fully educated populace, because people just don't want to. And so, yes, it is, Gary. And it's very, very stressful to have that conversation, especially the worst people to have that conversation with are the people who did very, very well in the pre-existing economy, because they are biased. They want it to be wrong because they've lived the Kush life, and they're the hardest ones. Talk to the CEO of many corporations. Talk to the upper management and such. They're some of the most obstinate and ignorant people to have a conversation with that you could ever imagine, and it's because they have such a vested interest in it not changing. They're the winners of the current system, and so they just don't want it to change. Even if there's a possibility it's going to make them wealthier or make things better for them. It's I don't know. It's a human condition. Pamela Flasted, morning, Zester and all. I may have missed it, but did you do a video on how to get the Gemini card? Thanks. Pamela, I did a video on that one, but I think that I do need to do a separate special video for it, going back through and explaining all of it with even more knowledge. But there is one on the channel, Pamela, where I go through, I show the setup, I talk through how it works. And then also there is the stream from, it would be well over a month ago now, where I went through and broke down the math numbers. If you had been using this Gemini card since 2015, where would you be at right now? And that is the reason we started on this whole journey, because through that little math experiment, what we found out was we would have made money while spending money. We would have lived for free. So if we had literally spent $30,000 a year just existing from 2015 to 2024, we would have earned over $400,000 US of XRP. And so we would have spent $300,000 existing, and we would have profited over $110,000 just for existing. Everything you bought for that entire 10 years would have been free. And seeing that power is really what started this journey, Pamela. That seeing that in those numbers is what started this whole journey, because that was that I felt should be very eye-opening to all of those out there that don't get it. That should be. It should have been very, very eye-opening. I need to do some more clean videos on that, Pamela. That would be a great idea for the beginning of 2026. Savvy, crypto hurts my brain. Rather be gardening. It can be. And so, Savvy, are there limits on how much they can pinch off your transfers? That's a great question, savvy. And so what occurs when you send a transaction? So I am Zester. Zester is going to send Savvy some XRP. I am going to have to pay whatever the current gas fee is on the XRP ledger. Okay. Now, if I were to say send Ethereum, Zester is going to send Savvy Ethereum. I need to pay the current gas fee on the Ethereum blockchain. And so these gas fees fluctuate with the amount of transactions occurring. In the case of XRP, it's very, very, very low per transaction. And that's what they're pinching you for. They're pinching you for that. They're pinching you for that transaction fee. And that will be, it won't even be a penny. It'll be a fraction of a penny on XRP. On Ethereum, though, or on another blockchain, potentially, if the network is very, very busy, that fee could end up being quite high, $10 or more or something. And so in that situation, Savvy, that's how that's being determined. It's the gas fee. Now, when you are leaving an exchange or you're trading on an exchange or you're doing anything like that where you are being provided a service by someone other than the blockchain, they are taking out a fee that is separate from the gas fee. And so in that situation, there is no limit, Savvy. And that's why it's very important to be knowledgeable about what the trading fees are on your certain exchange or what the withdrawal fees are on your certain exchange, because those are all decided by that company, not by the blockchain, not by anything else. All right. Malin and Adams, do you need to hold XRP and Gemini to earn or what? No, you do not. All you do is you move over making your purchases to that credit card. You get paid 1% back in XRP for all purchases. You get paid 2% at the grocery store. You get paid 3% for eating out, restaurants, delivery, anything like that. You get paid 4% for gas and certain other things. And so that does not require anything, Malin. That is just you spending what you were already going to spend. All you're doing is moving that purchase over to making the purchase on the Gemini card. There are no fees. There are no fines unless you don't pay your bill. And so do keep that in mind. It is a credit card. It requires discipline. It requires you don't spend more money than you were already going to spend. If you're spending exactly what you were already going to, this is free money. All you have to do is keep up with it. The other thing, though, Mal, is that you can refer people, and if they get approved for the card, they get $50 of crypto, and you get $50 of crypto. And so that's another thing where you can. And I know for me, that was sending it to family members, that was sending it to friends, that was talking about it on the show. And that's how, send out links to people. But you don't have to send out links. You don't have to refer people. You don't have to do any of that. You just use the card and you'll earn XRP. All right. Savvy, do the banks hold stocks to any of these crypto exchanges? Coinbase is a publicly traded stock in the United States of America. There are countless banks that hold stock in Coinbase. Now, I don't know in terms of some of these other crypto companies that aren't publicly traded. They may have private stock. They may have private investors and things like that, but those aren't things that are disclosed. Gary 7, when those 9 out of 10 do come around, they'll tell you that they knew it all along. They will say that. Yep. Savvy, I'm glad you're around to bounce questions off of, Zester. Oh, it is my pleasure, Savvy. It is my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining and asking them. Pamela, I think many of us have been scared off due to possibly losing our hard-earned funds. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this beginning Wild West phase of cryptocurrency is going to have scarred people. And that's a very, very, that one's tough. That one is just tough. We know that it will change in the future. We know that the blockchain allows for all of these scammers to be stopped, but governments have to start doing it. Luckily, the United States is on that track. Zester, can you walk us through how to set up dollar cost averaging? I'm assuming DCA, dollar cost averaging, on Coinbase or some other popular exchange, so we don't have to pay high fees and it can be automatic. Absolutely, Chris Cape. We can do that one. I'll make certain to put that one down. We could very, very much do so on one of those, and set up just a regularly. You can literally set it up daily, weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, whatever you want. And so it is very, very useful, Chris, for folks who just want to tune out and just know that they're building towards their retirement. Absolutely. That's a good idea, Chris. All right. Where does the crypto go that you earn? On Gemini, whenever you earn your crypto, and so you make a purchase or somebody pops in, it automatically deposits into your Gemini exchange account. And so you're actually setting up an exchange account at the same time. And so whenever I make a purchase with my snazzy XRP card, my Gemini XRP card, whenever I do make a purchase with it, the purchase pops up in my app on my phone, and I immediately get the XRP for having made the purchase. And so you're also dollar cost averaging your purchases in XRP because it's buying XRP with that 1%, 2%, 3% of whatever your purchase price was at whatever the price of XRP is at that moment. And so you can keep track of it right there. You can then take it from the Gemini exchange, Malin, and what you can do is you can remove it. I can receive or send crypto. I would come to send crypto. I would come to, here's my $994 of XRP max. I put in my hardware wallet address right here, and bam, all of this XRP earned through using the Gemini card is now being held on my self-custodial hardware wallet. And so it is some kind of snazzy. It is some kind of snazzy because it automatically does. And actually, guys, and they added this one just now on certain cryptocurrencies that have staking rewards. Like here's Solana, for example. And so if you were to take your earning and say, set your reward to be in Solana, and you were to say, I want to stake the Solana, every time you earned through using your card, you would be paid in Solana, and the Solana would immediately be staked, and you would start earning 6% APR off of what you just received for free as your reward. It's compounding your money. And that's why we did Monad. That's the reason I did this with Monad. My Monad is staked. And so not only am I earning Monad through various means, I am compounding that growth through my staking returns. And so I just started doing this. I've earned $1.69. I've earned 60 Monad through having staked it. This was for 1 month of having it staked. And so I earned 1% on my money, 1%, $149, 1.69, over 1% is what I earned in 1 month. And so think about this, guys. You're getting your rewards in Monad or in Solana. You immediately get it. As soon as you get it, it's immediately staked. It starts earning, at this case, in this situation, over 12% APR is what I'm earning on Monad. If it made over 1% in a single month, then I'm earning like well over 12% yearly. And it immediately starts accruing. And so these types of programs, this is so powerful. It is so powerful. If people were aware of this, we would be looking at a lot of folks who would be ending 2026 no longer in financial straits, no longer struggling financially, no longer not having a retirement. This is something everyone should be doing. If they're not doing it, they really just don't want to get to retire all that soon. It's crazy how powerful it is. And it's going to get more and more powerful because it's going to become competitive. Remember that article that I showed near the beginning in regards to the growth in these card programs. 2025 was really the first year. We are going to see far more competitors in 2026. We're going to see more competitive offers. We're going to see crazy limited time promotions. We're going to see it. And so 2026, I have a feeling the Zero to Retirement Challenge is going to kick into serious overdrive. I strongly believe we are already at over 1,000. We are at $1,200 and some dollars with the prices of crypto still suppressed. In many ways, we have already managed to get over 1,000. We are sitting at 1,236. I have every belief that we will be over 10,000 by the end of 2026. And so I strongly believe that we will have gone from 0 to over 10,000 in about a year's timeline through utilizing these programs. That's my conservative goal. Of course, I'd like it to be a higher number, but that's my conservative goal, is that we're going to be able to build it to $10,000 in only 1 year. Stretch this out and think about what this would have meant for your financial situation if this had been going on for years. Where would you be? And that's, we're going to find out together, because I'm planning on being there. And 2026 is going to be a really big year for that. A very, very big year for it, because we're going to get so many opportunities. All right, guys, I've been answering questions and chatting along so long. I just saw I've only got 3 more minutes, and I've got quite a few articles to jump through. So we're going to have a little bit of a whirlwind of crypto news to go ahead and end the episode this morning, because there were a few I really wanted to talk about. Why is Bitcoin going up after the U.S. operation in Venezuela? Yes, guys, many folks are pointing to the U.S. operation in Venezuela as being a reason for why the markets are so happy today. And well, a lot of it comes around worldwide oil prices and worldwide stability questions. I do not believe that it is entirely on account of the U.S. operation. I believe that, honestly, we were just seeing a very weird market in 2025 of December. It was kind of illogical, but it was caused by the fact that the market was in a heating phase. I think we're now kind of heading towards the real opportunities when it comes to the growth opportunity for these specific ones. And so, XRP buying frenzy. I mentioned this earlier in the episode in regards to the rate of it being released. XRP buying frenzy is on fire. Taker buy/sell ratio hits November highs. XRP has seen surging buying pressure as the ratio between taker buyers and sellers has neared its highest level since late November. What does this mean? What is this number? And so this number is currently 0.991, and this is the taker buy/sell ratio, reaching levels not seen since late November and edging very close to the critical 1.0 threshold. What the 1.0 threshold means, and this is why I referenced it in regards to buying and the increase of supply that constantly occurs to XRP. It means when it crosses that 1.0 threshold that buyers are out buying supply. Demand has exceeded supply, and that means buyers are in control of the market. And when buyers are in control of the market, the price is going to go up because they're having to compete. They're all trying to compete to get that price. We're going to continue to see that price go up. It is a very, very, very critical number in that regard. It is nigh impossible. It's essentially impossible for the price to not be going up if the buyers are in control. And this is what I was talking about in terms of that release, that XRP inflationary rate, the market cap of XRP versus the amount of XRP in existence. Once we've exceeded that level, we are going to start seeing very positive price action. Buyers will once again be in control. Mal, and anyone, do you stack XRP? That's what I stack at this point, Mal. But I do have a 2026 goal of becoming more and more diversified. And that's something that is going to be very, very evident from the show. Because I'm going to be talking more and more about other projects outside of XRP and talking about what they're going to be doing in the new financial system. Because we've got to remember, we're not going to put all of our money into car manufacturers. You're going to balance a portfolio. Putting all your money into XRP is very, very similar to the idea of putting all of your money into Ford and saying, I'm putting it all on Ford. Let's go. And so that is something that I am going to be focusing a lot on in 2026 is trying to balance better the portfolio, more diversification, more resiliency in that regard. All right. More and more and more. It was. I got to talking so long. XRP price expert says XRP could mirror the July 2025 rally. And so where he points to is that we are seeing the exact same chart as we saw back in June and July of 2025 that sent us to the multi-year high of $3.65 in mid-July. Current charts, current technical analysis, it appears as if XRP is currently headed towards that exact same event. If that were to occur in the same degree or even a similar degree of intensity as it did in July, we would see XRP rapidly climb back over and back to its mid-July levels. Another one to look forward to. I think, in all honesty, if this metric continues in the way that it is, we could see this XRP breakout occur very, very soon. If this number passes over the 1.0 threshold in the coming weeks, hold on to your pants because you're going to be watching a very, 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 very volatile XRP price at that point in time. And it will remain very, very positive until that number once again drops below the 1.0 threshold. All right. We talked a bunch about this one. U.S. national debt. I missed it. Guys, we had quite the event over the weekend. This last Saturday was Genesis Day. The anniversary of the first ever block mined on the Bitcoin blockchain, added to the Bitcoin ledger on January 3rd of 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, this is just essentially a date. Bitcoin maxis tend to celebrate it because, well, it's the anniversary of the first ever block on the blockchain. And it is an important one to kind of remember in terms of where the national debt has gone in that time, because Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin because of the events of 2007 and 2008. As a matter of fact, when Nakamoto mined the Genesis block of Bitcoin on January 3rd of 2009, he included a newspaper headline titled "Chancellor on Brink of Second Bailout for Banks." Satoshi Nakamoto put out that article with the announcement of the first ever block mined on the Bitcoin chain. And it's something to see. Effectively, what we have seen is that Satoshi Nakamoto was right. He was right, and he created a solution for a problem that he was absolutely correct was going to remain an issue. U.S. debt at this point in time has exceeded $38.5 trillion. And, well, we can thank too big to fail for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in existence because of 2007 and 2008. At least that is if you take Satoshi Nakamoto at his words. And so, yes, we did have quite the holiday over the weekend. MicroStrategy, the largest holder of Bitcoin ever, has started off the year with another buy. 1,283 Bitcoin for $116 million, lifting their holdings above 673,000 BTC, while reporting a $17.4 billion unrealized quarter four loss. So, important point here, unrealized. But yes, MicroStrategy, they may have on paper lost money, but MicroStrategy does not sell Bitcoin, and so they're buying more. As of today, welcome to 2026. You're going to start hearing about crypto from your wealth advisors. Bank of America lets wealth advisors recommend Bitcoin ETFs. That literally came into effect yesterday. And so as of yesterday, I believe, no, actually today, literally as of today, go talk to your Bank of America wealth advisor and they may or may not recommend that you invest in a Bitcoin ETF. Pamela, I don't know if I trust that MicroStrategy guy. Seems shady to me. Michael Saylor is a character. I am not a huge fan of Michael Saylor, just because of his personality. That doesn't mean I don't respect his business acumen, though. But yes, he is a crap poster and things of that nature. He is a character. Absolutely a character. Big Four, giant PwC goes all in on crypto after U.S. regulatory shift. And so PwC, one of the big four firms, plans to dive into crypto as new U.S. rules give institutions confidence to act. PwC is a company that folks are not aware of. And when it gets the title of one of the big four, you go, what the heck does that mean? Well, the reason you don't know all that much about PwC, or at least most folks don't, is because of what it does. It's one of the world's big four accounting firms. And this is a whole other side of crypto and of the blockchain coming into effect, the crypto accounting. And so they have, as you read through the article, what you'll find is that essentially PwC has spent the past decade very, very hesitant about cryptocurrency because of a lack of regulation and legislation, a clear framework. And PwC is going to be expanding into the crypto world, compliments of the Trump administration's clarification on how cryptocurrency works. And so this one definitely credit to Trump. Japan's finance minister has called 2026 the first year of digitalization, stocks, crypto, and digital assets in focus. Japan is not alone in this one. I have seen somewhere around 20 different countries have announced that 2026 is going to be the year of digital assets, tokenization, digital assets. Hey, you've been hearing it. You're going to keep hearing it, and you're going to start hearing about it from flipping everybody in 2026. The world is moving to tokenization. It's moving digital. All right. And our big one, guys, we're going to be keeping an eye on this. U.S. crypto regulation in focus. Clarity Act shapes market outlook for 2026. We need the Clarity Act, folks. We need the Clarity Act. We need the Clarity Act. If we want this market to continue in this direction, we can absolutely look to our legislators, look to your elected officials, and tell them to get the Clarity Act signed into law. Worst case scenario here is midterms screw it all up, and we don't manage to get this done. And so first quarter of 2026, it was a part of my predictions. I very much believe that it's possible. We need it. We absolutely need it. And another one of my predictions I talked about, and something we're going to be talking about throughout this year, is AI blockchain, AI crypto projects. Got an article here with 10 to keep an eye on in 2026. We're going to be keeping an eye on all of these in 2026 because very much so, we're going to see the combination of artificial intelligence and blockchain technologies skyrocket this year. And so for those curious about some to look at, these are not in any way endorsements from Zester at all. This is endorsements from coinvapor.com. But it is interesting and it does give you some things to start looking at and start thinking about. I will say of these cryptos, there's only one that I hold, and it's a very, very small amount of the graph. And so this is going to be a part of that whole idea of diversification on Zester's part, and hopefully many folks out there in the crypto world. We're going to be looking at some of these. So I'll leave you guys with that for the day. Went super long. My apologies, Trish and Kukla. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me as long as you did. But love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. I will be back on Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There is a possibility of some changes in the future to times because of Pops changing his channel times and things of that nature. And also because Pops wants me to come on and do more segments on his show. We may have a time change at some point, but as of right now, I'll be back on Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll see you guys then. Stay safe out there.